find the same one for men.
Okay, I want one for ladies right now. What do you think?
To take care of your children.
To take care of their children. And you know, that's something that is interesting. It is ethically expected more of ladies, it seems, in our society to take care of the kids, doesn't it? Now, we kind of hope that the guys are taking care too, but if they don't, we go, well, he's just a guy. And for some reason, it's more expected for girls. Is that right or wrong? What do you think?
I think it's wrong.
I think it's wrong too. As a father, I'm like, don't let him off the hook. He's just as much the parent as she is. He ought to be in there taking care of the kids too, right? And so actually our ethics as a society change over time. Because way back, talking like the 30s, 40s, 50s, oh, it would be almost ethically weird for a dad to be involved with little kids. Now it's perfectly normal, right? And so it changes over time. As our values change, so our ethical expectations change. Taking care of the house, right? Housework, cleaning the laundry, doing the dishes. At my house, we share the load, okay? I'm not as good as I should be. Mrs. Waltz is back there recording, so I have to be ethically truthful here. That's a challenge. I don't like doing it. You know, who does? But it's got to get done, right? And so, ethically, we expect women, largely, are expected to take care of that stuff. Again, way back, it would be kind of weird for, say, your family came over to my house. And if I was in there doing the dishes, the man would look at me and go, what is he doing? What a weirdo. It was ethically expected that the woman would do it. Nowadays, is that the case? It still is, to a large extent, but it is more expected now than it was. The guy needs to get in there and help out. And so you'll see that ethics change over time. The ethics of Greece. I know you guys are studying Greece right now, right? The ethics in Grecian society were totally different than ours in some ways, but totally similar in others. Song.
To do like the cooking.
The cooking, taking care of the cooking. Yeah, I'll be honest, a lot of times when it's Mrs. Waltz is busy with something, I'm going, I'm not real good at cooking. But we gotta eat. Taco Bell, here we come. You know, and so I'll just take care of food that way. And Mrs. Waltz come home, did you make them food? I got them food. Did I do well? You know, and ethically I did take care of the food process, but it cost more than she wants and I want. All right, now let's talk about teaching. A couple of ideas with teaching, ethically. Truth in reporting. Okay, what does that mean? Truth in reporting. CJ? What's truth in reporting?
Tyler.
Is it Tyler? I always call you CJ. Why do I do that, Tyler?
Because they look alike.
You guys are so similar. And I remember from Raymore, so anyway.
To be the honest truth with others.
Okay, with others, you're on the right track. A teacher has to report how the kids are doing, right? Has to report to the administrators, has to report to the parents, has to report to the students. This is how you're doing. What if, as a teacher, I thought, well, I don't want to really deal with the fact that this kid didn't do so well, and their parent is going to freak out, and so I'm just going to make that a C. I'm going to make that a B. I say it's okay. I'm the teacher. It's okay. Would that be okay? No, you're not being truthful. You're being dishonest in a very hurtful way, aren't you? As a teacher, I am expected ethically by your parents, should be by you, and by the administrator, and by myself. I should be truthful in how you're doing. If you got a D, I need to report you got a D. No matter who wants to kick and scream, whether your mom comes up here, oh, no, you just didn't. What is up with this grade right here? And you're like, well, your kid scored that on the test. And, well, how come you're not teaching them? That's ethically kind of wrong there, too, isn't it? How are you assuming that I'm not teaching? Maybe they're not putting forth the work to learn. You telling me my kid does not learn? Ethically, I have to report the truth, right? and I have to deal with that, however the consequences might be. But just on the other side of it, truth reporting. How about a teacher who goes, I really don't like this kid's attitude. Yeah, you. You know what? You and I don't get along. And I don't care what you think you got on this, it's a D. What? I put so much work into that. I know it. No, it's a D. I hate you. Feelings mutual. It's a D. Totally. Would that be a good teacher? No, that would be an ethically poor teacher. You're not doing things truthfully, right? And so, bottom line, all of these ethics that we're talking about, can they be broken and people get away with it? Let me ask you that. Think about that. Can you be unethical and get away with it? Could you possibly change the teacher's grades and get away with it as a student? Could it happen?
It's unlikely.
It's unlikely, but is it possible?
Yes.
It is possible. I like the Mythbusters. Is it plausible? All right? It is plausible to be unethical and get away with it. Could a teacher be unethical with grades and get away with it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, unfortunately, it probably happens more than we'd like to admit. Okay, what about a police officer? Could a police officer be unethical with their power when they pull someone over? Oh, I really like this person, so I'm just going to give them a warning. Same exact thing happens with another person. I don't like you. I'm going to give you a big ticket. Please, please, sir, no. Well, how about if you give me $100 right here and I'll just let this ticket go? Think that happens? It does happen. It's unethical. It's wrong, and when they get caught, they get busted big time. But sometimes they go their whole career and never get caught. Is that okay? But it happens. And so here's the thing. Should it happen? No. When it does happen and they get caught, should they get busted? Yeah, we all feel that way, and so we know what ethics are, but it's the practice of them. And bottom line, here's the thing. As people, we trust. The only way that ethics works is if we have trust. I trust that when I make a deposit in my bank, that the bank president is not taking a little bit on the side for herself. Could she do it? She could do it, huh? 20 here, 20 there. All right, Christmas is coming early for me, right? She could do it. Does it happen? Yeah, it happens. When they get busted, they really have bad consequences. But bottom line, we have to have trust in society. We've got to trust whether I agree with you, disagree with you, like you, dislike you, you're going to do the right thing. And you're going to do it because it's the right thing. And so in society, guess what? We elect leaders, don't we? I know you guys were talking about leadership recently. Well, electing leaders is a big deal. All right, that's massive. But we're all leaders in different capacities. I lead my children. I lead my wife at times. She leads me at times. She leads her children, right? Your parents, same way. Your grandparents, they're leaders, right? Who's ever been over to Thanksgiving and, oh man, your big bad parents are over there and like they just dominate your life. Well, they get around their parents, it's like, yes ma'am. You're like, wow, let's go get grandma to make you do stuff.
Yeah, that happens
Right?
to you.
I mean, it just, suddenly you see the roles change and they recognize there's a leader and I have to follow my leader. And so the thing is, you even lead your friends. No, I do not. Yeah, you do. Have you ever watched? Your friends are looking at you like, hey man, is this funny? Is this funny? You're like, yeah, that's funny. You just led them. So you need to ask yourself, are you leading them well or are you leading them poorly? Because as kids, we tend to think, as kids, I'm not a leader yet, I'm not in charge of anything. You lead people all the time. Here's what the big thing about ethics, it's so tied to leadership. And if you think that you don't need to worry about ethical things because you're not a leader, look behind you. And if someone's following you, you're leading them, and you should do so ethically. Right? And so when you look at who's got a younger brother or sister? All right. Do you lead them? Do you lead your brother and sister? Come on. Sometimes you do, right? Do you lead them well? Oh, not all the time, because they're pains, right? And so we set them up for getting in trouble a lot, especially the older brothers and sisters. I did it to my sister. She still hates me for it. All right? The thing is, how can you lead well? Because you have these expectations on others, you need to have good ethics in the way you lead. We trust you to be a leader that's going to do so ethically. What about yourself? Michael Jackson had this crazy song, and it wasn't so crazy really. He said, I'm starting with the man in the mirror. You know what that means? What does that mean? It's a metaphor, isn't it? What does that mean, starting with the man in the mirror?
Probably talking about his reflection, so he's starting with himself.
Starting with himself, right? And so we like to go, well, that leader is terrible. He's just not ethical. I hate him. Oh, he's the worst. Because we disagree with his ethics, the way he's doing things, right? Or she's the worst parent of all. She's the worst teacher. I can't stand her. Why? Because her ethics are horrible. We might not use that language, but we're saying the same thing, right? How about we start with the person in the mirror and go, how am I doing ethically? I was a